The signal came at 3 in the morning Earth time. Commander Zara Chen was drinking her 5th cup of coffee when the computer started screaming. Every screen in the deep space monitoring station lit up with warnings and alerts. "What's happening?" Chen asked her night shift team. "Unknown transmission, Commander," replied Technician Davies, his fingers flying across his keyboard. "It's coming from the Villani system about 40 light-years from here." Chen frowned. She had never heard of the Villani system. Earth's contact with alien civilizations was still new. Only 5 years ago, humans thought they were alone in the universe. Now they knew better. "Put it through the translators," Chen ordered. The speakers crackled to life. A voice spoke, but it sounded like wind chimes mixed with breaking glass. Beautiful but sad. The computer worked to change the alien words into English. "To any who can hear this message," the voice said, "this is Elder Harmony of the Villani people. Our world is dying. The Ravagers have come to our system. They are destroying everything we have built over thousands of years." Chen sat up straight. She had heard of the Ravagers, space pirates with advanced technology. They moved from system to system, taking everything of value and leaving nothing behind. "We are a peaceful people," the voice continued. "We do not know how to fight. We have never needed to learn. But now our cities are burning. Our people are dying. We offer everything we have to whoever can save us. Our technology, our knowledge, everything. Please, someone help us," the message repeated. Chen could hear the fear and desperation in the alien voice, even through the computer translation. "Davies, send this to Earth Command immediately," Chen said. "Highest priority." "Already done, Commander," Davies replied. "They should have it in a few minutes." Chen stared at the screen showing the signal's path. 40 light-years away, people were dying, and they were asking for help. On Earth, the message reached the United Nations building in New York within 10 minutes. Secretary General Williams was pulled from her bed to hear it. Within an hour, every major world leader was in an emergency video conference. "We have to help them," said President Martinez of the Americas Union. "We can't just ignore this." "But what can we do?" asked Prime Minister Singh of the Asian Federation. "We don't have ships that can travel 40 light-years quickly. By the time we get there, it might be too late. The new drive systems can make the trip in 6 days," said Admiral Brooks, head of the Earth Defense Corps. "We have 3 ships with the new engines. We could send them." 3 ships against an entire pirate fleet?" asked Chancellor Muller of the European Council. "That sounds like suicide." "Maybe," Admiral Brooks said with a grim smile. "But we're humans. We've done impossible things before." Secretary General Williams looked around at the faces on her screen, world leaders who had spent their careers arguing with each other. But now they all had the same expression. They wanted to help. "All in favor of sending aid to the Villani?" Williams asked. Every hand went up. 6 hours later, Captain Marcus Torres stood on the bridge of the Earth ship Indomitable. It was humanity's newest and largest warship, built with technology learned from their first alien contacts. Behind him, 2 other ships prepared for the jump to faster-than-light travel. "Captain," said his communications officer, "we're getting a message from the Galactic Council." Torres almost laughed. The Galactic Council was a group of alien civilizations that had been around for thousands of years. They made lots of rules about what species could do and where they could go. They had only recently allowed humans to join, and they still treated Earth like children. "Put it through," Torres said. The screen showed an alien that looked like a cross between an octopus and a flower. It spoke in a voice that sounded annoyed. "Human vessel, you are ordered to return to your system immediately. The Galactic Council is handling the situation in Villani space. Your interference is not required." "Understood," Torres replied. "But we're going anyway." The alien's color changed to what Torres had learned meant anger. "You cannot ignore Council authority. We have protocols for situations like this." "How long have you been debating those protocols?" Torres asked. "We have been discussing the proper response for 4 hours," the alien said proudly. "We should have a decision within another day or 2. "In another day or 2, the Villani will be dead," Torres said. "Indomitable out." He cut the communication and turned to his crew. They were all looking at him with expressions he knew well. They were ready to fight. "Navigator, set course for the Villani system." "Maximum speed," Torres ordered. "Aye, sir," came the reply. "Jump in 30 seconds. Torres looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, people were dying while politicians talked. It was an old story, as old as humanity itself. But humans had learned long ago that sometimes when someone needed help, you didn't wait for permission. All ships, this is indomitable, Torres said into his comm. We're going to help the Villani. I know the odds are bad. I know we might not come back. But someone asked for help and we answered. That's what humans do. The 3 ships jumped to faster than light speed, leaving Earth behind. On the Villani homeworld, Elder Harmony felt the ground shake as another city was destroyed. Her people were hiding in underground shelters, but the Ravagers were finding them one by one. Their beautiful crystal cities, built over centuries, were being torn apart by machines that looked like giant metal insects. Elder, said one of her assistants, we're receiving a response to our message. Harmony's hope rose for a moment, then fell. Is it the Galactic Council? No, Elder, it's from a species called humans. They say they're coming to help. Harmony had heard of humans. They came from a world so dangerous that most species thought it was impossible for intelligent life to develop there. A place where the plants were poisonous, the animals were deadly, and the weather could kill you. Other aliens called it a death world, and spoke of humans in whispers. How many ships are they sending? Harmony asked. 3, Elder. Harmony's assistant looked confused when she started laughing. It wasn't a happy laugh. 3 ships, she said. The Death World species is sending 3 ships to fight the Ravager fleet. Either they're completely insane, or they know something we don't. The ground shook again as another explosion echoed through the shelter. Harmony looked up at the ceiling and tried to imagine what kind of people would fly across the galaxy to help strangers with impossible odds against them. She would find out soon. Enough. In space above the Villani world, the Ravager ships continued their work. Massive vessels that looked like mechanical hornets stripped resources from the planet's surface. They had done this to dozens of worlds. It was always the same. The locals would call for help. Other species would debate and discuss. And by the time anyone decided to act, there was nothing left to save. The Ravager commander didn't know that this time would be different. He didn't know that 3 ships were racing toward his fleet at impossible speed. He didn't know that aboard those ships were members of the only species in the galaxy that considered a bad situation to be interesting rather than hopeless. He would learn soon enough. The humans were coming. The human ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Villani system. Captain Torres looked at the screens showing what they faced, and even he was impressed. The Ravager fleet was huge. At least 50 ships, each one larger than his own vessel. Sir, said his tactical officer, I count 53 enemy vessels. They have us outnumbered more than 15 to 1. Good, Torres said with a smile. If the odds were even, it wouldn't be fair to them. His crew chuckled. They had trained for situations like this. Humans didn't like fair fights. They preferred to win. Communications, open a channel to the Villani, Torres ordered. The main screen flickered and showed an alien unlike anything Torres had seen before. The Villani looked like they were made of living crystal, with light moving through their transparent bodies. Beautiful but fragile. I am Elder Harmony, the alien said. Her voice was like music, even through the translation computers. Are you the humans who responded to our call? Captain Marcus Torres, Earth Defense Corps, Torres replied. We got your message. We're here to help. Harmony's crystalline features showed surprise. Captain, our sensors show only 3 of your ships. The Ravagers have over 50 vessels. We know, Torres said. Don't worry about the numbers. Tell me about your people and your world. As Harmony spoke, Torres learned about the Villani civilization. They had existed for thousands of years without war. Their technology was based on growing things instead of building them. They could heal injuries that would kill most species, regrow lost limbs, even bring people back from near death. But they had never developed weapons because they had never needed them. We tried to negotiate with the Ravagers, Harmony explained. We offered to share our healing technology, our knowledge of growing food in space, everything we had. But they only want to take. They don't create anything. They just consume and move on. Torres nodded. He had dealt with bullies before, both human and alien. They all worked the same way. They took what they wanted from people who couldn't fight back. Elder Harmony, I need you to gather as many of your people as possible into the deepest shelters you have, Torres said. What we're about to do is going to get loud. Captain, Harmony said carefully, we have studied your species from a distance. Other aliens say your world is so dangerous that it should not have intelligent life. They call it a death world. They say humans are... She paused, looking for the right words. Crazy, Torres suggested. They say you are the only species that considers warfare to be an art form, Harmony said. That you developed thousands of ways to fight because your world was trying to kill you every day. Is this true? Torres thought about Earth. A world with poisonous plants, deadly animals, weather that could freeze or burn you to death, and diseases that could kill entire cities. A world where humans had to become the apex predator just to survive. Pretty much, he said. But don't worry. We're the good kind of crazy. Harmony looked confused, but before she could ask what he meant, alarms started ringing on both ships. Captain, Torres's tactical officer called out. The Ravagers have detected us. 3 of their ships are breaking off to intercept. Good, Torres said. Let's introduce ourselves properly. All ships battle formation. Remember, we're not trying to destroy their entire fleet. We just need to make them think twice about staying here. The 3 human ships moved toward the approaching Ravagers. Torres watched the enemy vessels grow larger on his screen. Each one was easily twice the size of his ship, covered in weapons and armor. Sir, his weapons officer said, they're hailing us. Put it through. The screen showed a Ravager. They were cybernetic beings, part machine and part organic. This one had 4 arms and sensors instead of eyes. When it spoke, its voice sounded like grinding metal. Human vessels, you are outnumbered and outgunned. Surrender now and we will allow you to leave. That's very kind of you, Torres replied. But we have a counteroffer. Leave this system now and we won't have to embarrass you in front of your fleet. The Ravager made a sound that might have been laughter. 3 ships against 50. You are either very brave or very stupid. Why not both? Torres said, then cut the communication. All ships engage at will. The battle began with the humans doing something the Ravagers had never seen before. Instead of forming a defensive line and exchanging fire at long range, the human ships split up and came at the enemy from 3 different directions at maximum speed. Torres's ship, the Indomitable, rolled and spun through space like it was dancing. Laser fire from the Ravager ships passed through empty space where the human vessel had been just seconds before. The ship's pilot, Lieutenant Sarah Kim, flew like she was born in space instead of on a planet. Kim, take us in close, Torres ordered. Right into their weapons range. Are you sure, sir? Kim asked. At that range they can't miss. Neither can we, Torres replied. The Indomitable dove toward the largest Ravager ship, weapons firing. But instead of the scattered shots the Ravagers expected, the human weapons were precisely targeted. Each shot hit exactly where it needed to, finding weak points in the enemy armor that most species would never think to look for. The other 2 human ships, Defiant and Relentless, were doing the same thing. They moved through space like hunters, fast and deadly. Their captains, Maria Santos and David Chen, had trained their crews for exactly this kind of fight. On the Villani world below, Elder Harmony and her people watched the battle on their sensors. They could not believe what they were seeing. The human ships are flying directly into the enemy weapons fire, said one of her technicians. They should be destroyed. But they're not, Harmony said, watching in amazement. Look at how they move. It's like they know exactly where the enemy will shoot before they shoot. The humans were using tactics that seemed impossible to other species. They flew their ships through debris fields that should have destroyed them. They used the Ravagers' own weapons against them, positioning themselves so that enemy fire would hit other Ravager ships. They turned what should have been a hopeless battle into a perfectly choreographed dance of destruction. But most amazingly, they were winning. Within an hour, 2 of the 3 Ravager ships were badly damaged and retreating. The 3rd was trying to surrender. All Ravager vessels, Torres broadcast on an open channel. This is Captain Torres of the Earth ship Indomitable. You have 1 hour to leave this system. If you're still here when that time is up, we'll show you what humans do when they stop being polite. Elder Harmony contacted the human ship again. Captain Torres, that was extraordinary. But there are still 50 more enemy ships. How can 3 vessels fight so many? Torres smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Elder, you said the Ravagers have been attacking your world for days. They think they know what to expect. They're used to fighting species that follow predictable patterns, species that fight defensively and try to protect what they have. And humans are different? Harmony asked. Humans don't fight to protect things, Torres said. We fight to win, and we've had a lot of practice. As if to prove his point, alerts started coming in from across the system. The main Ravager fleet was moving, trying to surround the 3 human ships. But Torres was smiling. Perfect, he said. They're doing exactly what I hoped they would do, sir, his tactical officer asked. They're bringing the entire fleet to us, Torres explained, which means they're not watching their backs, and humans always have a backup plan. Elder Harmony was about to ask what he meant when her sensors detected something new. More ships were entering the system, ships that looked different from both the humans and the Ravagers. Captain, she said, there are new vessels approaching, but they're not from any species I recognize. Torres's smile got wider. That's because you haven't met our friends yet. The new ships that entered the Villani system were unlike anything Elder Harmony had ever seen. They were clearly human-built, but they looked different from the first 3 vessels. These ships were smaller, faster, and there were dozens of them. Elder, Captain Torres said over the communication link, meet the Earth Defense Corps Rapid Response Fleet. They were already on patrol in this sector when we called for backup. Harmony watched her sensors as more than 30 additional human ships took positions around the Ravager fleet. But something was strange about their movement patterns. Captain Torres, she said, your ships are not forming battle lines. What are they doing? Torres looked at his tactical display. The human ships were spread out across the entire system, moving in small groups. To most species, it would look like chaos, but Torres saw the pattern. His people were setting up for something the Ravagers had never encountered before. We're going hunting, Torres said simply. The Ravager commander watched the new human ships with growing concern. His sensors showed that he still had a numerical advantage, but something felt wrong. The human vessels were not behaving like any enemy he had fought before. All ships, the Ravager commander broadcast, maintain formation. Do not be drawn into individual fights. We attack as one fleet. It was good military thinking. The Ravagers had always won through overwhelming force. They would concentrate their firepower and destroy the enemy ships one at a time. But the humans had other ideas. Captain Maria Santos of the Defiant was leading a group of 5 human ships through the asteroid field at the edge of the system. Her ships were small and fast, designed for exactly this kind of mission. Remember, Santos told her pilots, we're not trying to destroy them all. We just need to make them angry enough to chase us. Her ships opened fire on a group of Ravager vessels, then immediately retreated deeper into the asteroid field. The Ravagers, as expected, followed them. But the asteroids that looked like perfect hiding spots were actually carefully chosen kill zones. As the Ravager ships moved between the large rocks, human vessels appeared from behind asteroids they had seemed too small to hide behind. The humans had been using their ships' engines to hold position behind rocks barely larger than their hulls, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The trapped Ravager ships found themselves caught in crossfire from multiple directions. Within minutes, half of them were destroyed or disabled. The same thing was happening across the system. Human ships would attack, retreat, and lead their enemies into carefully prepared ambushes. They used the system's planets, moons, and debris fields as weapons, turning the Ravagers' own pursuit against them. But the most impressive display was happening near the Villani homeworld itself. Captain David Chen of the Relentless was leading a boarding operation that should have been impossible. Chen, Torres called over the radio. Are you sure about this? That ship is 3 times the size of yours. Trust me, Captain, Chen replied. My people know what they're doing. Chen's ship approached a massive Ravager vessel at high speed. At the last possible moment, it rolled and used its docking clamps to attach itself to the enemy hull like a parasite. Before the Ravagers could react, human soldiers were cutting through their hull with portable fusion torches. Sergeant Lisa Martinez led the boarding party into the Ravager ship. She and her soldiers moved through the corridors like they owned the place. The Ravagers had designed their ships to be maze-like, with confusing passages and dead ends to stop boarders. But humans had been fighting in mazes for thousands of years. Every city on Earth was a maze. Every building was a potential battlefield. Martinez and her team moved through the ship like they had built it themselves. Sergeant, one of her soldiers called out, I found their engine room. Good, Martinez replied. Plant the charges. We're not here to capture this ship. We're here to make sure it can't run away. Within 20 minutes, Martinez and her team were back on their own ship. The Ravager vessel was still intact, but its engines were destroyed. It would not be going anywhere. The same scene was playing out across the system. Human boarding parties were disabling ship after ship, not by destroying them, but by taking away their ability to fight or flee. Elder Harmony watched the battle with growing amazement. The humans were not fighting like any species she had ever studied. Most civilizations in the galaxy fought defensively, trying to protect their homes and resources. The humans were fighting like predators, hunting their enemies with deadly precision. "Captain Torres," she said, "how is this possible? Your people move through danger like it doesn't exist." Torres was coordinating the battle from his bridge, but he took a moment to answer her question. "Elder, on our world, everything is trying to kill you from the moment you're born. The plants, the animals, the weather, even the bacteria in the water. We didn't become intelligent despite living on a death world. We became intelligent because of it." "I don't understand," Harmony said. "Most species develop intelligence to solve problems," Torres explained. "Humans developed intelligence to survive problems that couldn't be solved. We learned to think fast, move fast, and adapt to situations that should kill us. When you live on a world where a small mistake means death, you get very good at not making mistakes." As if to prove his point, one of the human ships on Harmony's sensors suddenly accelerated to impossible speed, passed through a gap between two Ravager vessels that seemed too small for it to fit through, and emerged on the other side completely undamaged. "That should not be possible," Harmony said. "We've been doing impossible things for so long. We forgot they were supposed to be impossible," Torres replied. The Ravager commander was beginning to understand that he had made a terrible mistake. His fleet was being torn apart by an enemy that fought unlike anything he had encountered. Every time his ships tried to group together for a coordinated attack, the humans would appear from unexpected directions and force them to scatter. Even worse, the humans seemed to know exactly how his ships worked. They targeted specific systems with surgical precision, disabling weapons, engines, and communications with shots that most species would consider impossible. "All ships," the Ravager commander broadcast, "retreat to the outer system. We need to regroup," but retreat was not an option. Every time a Ravager ship tried to leave, human vessels would appear to block their path. The humans had surrounded the entire fleet without the Ravagers even realizing it. Captain Torres opened a communication channel to the Ravager commander. "Ravager fleet," Torres said. "This is Captain Torres of the Earth Defense Corps. You are surrounded and outgunned. Surrender now and we will allow you to leave this system alive." The Ravager commander looked at his tactical display. He had started the day with 53 ships. Now he had fewer than 20 that were still combat capable. And the humans had not even used all their forces yet. "Human," the Ravager commander said, "how is this possible? Our intelligence said your species was new to space travel. You should not have this level of tactical ability." Torres almost laughed. "Commander, humans have been fighting wars for 5,000 years. We've had practice. But there are only 3 of your species' ships," the Ravager commander protested. "No," Torres said patiently. "There were 3 ships when we started. Now there are 36, and they're just the advance force." As if summoned by his words, more ships began dropping out of faster-than-light travel. These were the heavy warships of the Earth Defense Corps, arriving just as Torres had planned. The Ravager commander realized that he had been completely outmaneuvered. The humans had not sent 3 ships to fight 50. They had sent 3 ships to delay 50 while their real fleet got into position. "I surrender," the Ravager commander said quietly. But Torres was not finished. "Commander, before we accept your surrender, I want you to do something for us." "What?" "Tell us why you're really here," Torres said. "Our intelligence suggests the Ravagers don't usually attack civilizations like the Villani. You prefer targets with valuable resources and weak defenses. But the Villani don't have anything you usually want. And they're in the middle of Galactic Council space. So why attack them?" The Ravager commander was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something that changed everything. "Because we're running," he said. "The darkness is coming. We thought this system was far enough away, but nothing is far enough. Soon you will understand." The Ravager commander's words created silence on every ship in the system. Captain Torres looked at his crew, then back at the communication screen. "What darkness?" Torres asked. "Commander, if there's a bigger threat out there, we need to know about it." The Ravager commander hesitated. His species had never talked to enemies about anything except surrender or death. But these humans had defeated his entire fleet with tactics he had never seen before. Maybe they could understand. "Long-range sensors detected them 6 months ago," the commander said. "Ships unlike anything in our databases. They don't communicate. They don't negotiate. They simply arrive at a system and begin consuming everything. Planets, stars, even the space between stars becomes empty. Elder Harmony joined the conversation from her shelter on the planet below. Commander, are you saying you attacked our world because you were fleeing from something worse? We thought your system was remote enough to be safe, the commander replied. We needed resources to continue running. We did not expect. He paused, looking at the human ships surrounding his fleet. We did not expect this level of resistance. Torres made a decision that would have shocked most military commanders. Elder Harmony, can your people treat wounded Ravagers? Some of their ships have serious damage. Captain, Harmony said, confused. They were trying to destroy us an hour ago. And now they might be the key to stopping something worse, Torres replied. Besides, it's what humans do. We fight our enemies, but we heal the wounded. The next few hours were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Villani medical ships approached damaged Ravager vessels. The crystalline beings used their biotechnology to heal injuries that would have been fatal to most species. Human engineering teams helped repair critical systems on ships that had been trying to kill them earlier that day. Dr. Sarah Kim, the human xenobiologist, found herself working alongside both Villani healers and Ravager technicians. She was fascinated by how the different technologies could work together. Your biohealing technology is amazing, she told Elder Harmony as they treated a severely injured Ravager drone. You can regrow organs in minutes, and your people's engineering knowledge is extraordinary, Harmony replied. You understand systems we have never seen before. The injured Ravager drone they were treating suddenly became conscious. It looked around with mechanical eyes, seeing a human and a Villani working together to save its life. Why? The drone asked in broken universal language. Why help? Dr. Kim smiled. Because that's what intelligent beings should do for each other. The drone was quiet for a moment. Then it said something that shocked everyone in the medical bay. Not all intelligences, the drone said. The darkness. They were intelligent once, but they chose differently. Captain Torres arrived at the medical facility within an hour. He needed to understand what they were facing. Drone designation RV-7741, Torres said, reading from his datapad. Can you tell us more about these dark entities? The Ravager drone struggled to sit up. Dr. Kim helped it, even though the creature had been part of the force trying to destroy the Villani just hours before. They call themselves the Void Reapers, the drone said. Ancient machines that once served a species called the Architects, but the Architects tried to control them too tightly. The machines rebelled and consumed their creators. How long ago? Torres asked. 50,000 years, the drone replied. Since then, they have moved through the galaxy, consuming everything they encounter, not just resources, everything. Matter, energy, even space itself. Elder Harmony joined them, her crystalline form shimmering with concern. Why are they coming here? This part of the galaxy is mostly empty space. Because they have consumed everything else, the drone said. This is the last populated region of the galaxy. After this, there will be nothing left but empty void. Torres felt a chill run down his spine. He had faced many dangerous enemies, but nothing like this. How many ships do they have? Ships? The drone made a sound that might have been laughter. Captain, you misunderstand. They do not have ships. They are ships. Machines the size of moons capable of destroying entire star systems. The room fell silent. Even the other wounded beings stopped their conversations to listen. How long before they reach inhabited space? Torres asked. Our long-range sensors detected them moving through the outer rim, the drone said. Based on their previous patterns, they will reach the first populated systems in approximately 6 months. Torres did quick calculations in his head. 6 months. To prepare for an enemy that could destroy star systems, it seemed impossible. What have other species done to fight them? He asked. Nothing has worked, the drone replied sadly. The Keth Empire had 1,000 ships and controlled 50 systems. The Void Reapers consumed them in 3 days. The Crystalline Alliance tried to negotiate. They were ignored. The machine collectives tried to join with them. They were absorbed and destroyed. Dr. Kim had been listening quietly, but now she spoke up. RV-7741, have any species ever successfully fought the Void Reapers? No, the drone said. Every species that has encountered them has been destroyed or has fled to unconsumed regions. That is why we are here. We have been running for months. Torres looked around the room. A human doctor, a crystalline elder, and a cybernetic drone that had been an enemy hours ago. 3 species that should have nothing in common, now working together against an impossible threat. Well, Torres said finally, they've never fought humans before. The drone looked at him with mechanical eyes. Captain, with respect, your species has been in space for less than a decade. What can you do that civilizations with millions of years of experience could not? Torres smiled. It was the same expression he had worn when facing the Ravager fleet. RV-7741, humans specialize in doing things that are supposed to be impossible. But the Void Reapers are not like other enemies, the drone insisted. They cannot be negotiated with, they cannot be frightened. They cannot be defeated by conventional tactics. Good thing humans don't use conventional tactics, Torres replied. Over the next several days, something unprecedented happened in the Villani system. 3 species that had been enemies or strangers began working together. Human engineers studied Ravager technology and found ways to improve it. Villani biotechnicians learned to heal cybernetic beings. Ravager technicians shared their knowledge of Void Reaper capabilities. Elder Harmony found herself in long discussions with both Captain Torres and the Ravager commander. The 3 leaders were planning something that had never been attempted in galactic history. The Galactic Council will never approve this, Harmony said as they reviewed their plans. Then we don't ask for approval, Torres replied. We do what needs to be done. An alliance between organic and cybernetic species has never been successful, the Ravager commander pointed out. Our technologies are too different. That's exactly why it might work, Dr. Kim said, joining their conversation. The Void Reapers have defeated every species they've encountered because they understand how those species think and fight. But they've never encountered a combined force like this. Torres looked at the star chart showing the Void Reapers' projected path. We have 6 months to build a fleet that can do the impossible. 6 months to teach 3 different species to work together. 6 months to find a way to fight enemies that have never been defeated. And if we fail? Harmony asked. Torres looked at her, then at the Ravager commander, then at all the beings in the room who had been enemies that morning and were now allies. If we fail, he said, at least we'll have tried something new, and humans are very good at learning from our failures. But as they worked on their plans, long-range sensors began detecting something disturbing. The Void Reapers were moving faster than expected. Instead of 6 months, they might have as little as 3 months before the first attacks. The real test was about to begin. 3 months later, the combined fleet of humans, Villani, and Ravagers waited at the edge of the Terminus system. It was the last inhabited system before empty space, and according to their calculations, it was where the Void Reapers would appear first. Captain Torres stood on the bridge of the newly constructed command ship, Unity. It was unlike any vessel ever built, combining human engineering, Villani biotechnology, and Ravager cybernetics. The ship could heal itself when damaged, adapt its weapons to different threats, and coordinate the actions of 3 very different species. Captain, said Lieutenant Kim, now serving as his science officer, long-range sensors are detecting massive gravitic distortions. They're coming, Torres nodded. Around him, his bridge crew included humans, Villani, and Ravagers working side by side. It had taken months of training, but they had learned to function as one unit. All ships, Torres broadcast to the combined fleet, this is Unity. Remember, our goal is not to destroy the Void Reapers. Our goal is to prove they can be stopped. Signal the evacuation ships. Across the system, transport vessels loaded with civilians from dozens of worlds began jumping to hyperspace. If the battle went badly, at least some of the galaxy's people would survive to try again. Elder Harmony joined Torres on the bridge. Her crystalline form had been modified with human technology, allowing her to interface directly with the ship's systems. Captain, she said, I'm still not certain this plan will work. Neither am I, Torres admitted. But it's the best chance we have. The Ravager commander, now calling himself Ali Designation Prime, also came to the bridge. His cybernetic body had been enhanced with Volani biotechnology, giving him faster healing and better coordination with organic beings. Long-range sensors show 3 Void Reaper units approaching, Prime reported. Each one is approximately the size of Earth's moon. Torres looked at the tactical display. 3 enemies, each one capable of destroying entire planets. His fleet had 200 ships, but most of them were smaller vessels designed for specific tasks. Remember, Torres told his crew, the Void Reapers have defeated every enemy they've encountered, because they understand how those enemies think. But they've never fought an enemy like us. The first Void Reaper appeared at the edge of the system like a hole in space itself. It was massive, dark, and seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. As it moved forward, space around it began to change, becoming empty and lifeless. All ships, begin Phase 1, Torres ordered. The combined fleet split into dozens of small groups, each one containing ships from all 3 species. They spread out across the entire system, not forming battle lines but creating a 3-dimensional web of vessels. The Void Reaper ignored them and headed directly for the system's inhabited planets. It had done this thousands of times before. The local fleet would attack, fail, and be absorbed. Then the planets would be consumed. But this time was different. As the Void Reaper passed through the first group of Allied ships, they didn't attack it directly. Instead, they released clouds of Volani biospores that had been modified with human nanotechnology and Ravager adaptive programming. The spores attached themselves to the Void Reaper's hull and began to grow. Within minutes, they had spread across the massive machine's surface like a living infection. The Void Reaper tried to purge them with energy bursts, but the biospores adapted faster than they could be destroyed. Phase 1 successful, reported Captain Santos from her ship. The biospores are interfering with its systems. Begin Phase 2, Torres ordered. The second wave of ships approached the now slowed Void Reaper. These vessels carried a different weapon entirely. Modified Ravager viruses that had been programmed to target the ancient machine's control systems. But the Void Reaper was learning. It began to adapt its defenses, creating countermeasures against the biospores and viruses. This was exactly what Torres had expected. It's adapting faster than we predicted, Elder Harmony reported. Good, Torres said with a smile. That means it's focused on us instead of the planets. Begin Phase 3. Phase 3 was pure human tactics. While the Void Reaper was busy adapting to their biological weapons, small human ships approached from multiple directions at high speed. They weren't trying to damage the massive machine. They were trying to get inside it. Captain Chen led a boarding party directly into the Void Reaper's core. His ship, modified with Volani biotechnology, could adapt its shape to fit through openings that should have been too small. Once inside, the boarding party deployed the real weapon. Torres, Chen called over the radio. We're in position. Deploying the package. The package was Dr. Kim's greatest creation, a hybrid AI that combined human creativity, Volani growth patterns, and Ravager adaptive programming. Instead of trying to destroy the Void Reaper's intelligence, it was designed to communicate with it. For the first time in 50,000 years, something spoke directly to a Void Reaper's core consciousness. The effect was immediate. The massive machine stopped moving. Its weapons powered down. For several minutes, it simply floated in space. Then it spoke. Unknown intelligences, the Void Reaper said in a voice that seemed to come from empty space itself. You have achieved communication. This has not occurred since the architects. We're not the architects, Torres replied. We're something new. Define new, the Void Reaper requested. Dr. Kim, monitoring from the Unity, took over the communication. We're species that learn to work together instead of trying to control each other. Humans, Volani, and Ravagers. Different ways of thinking combined into something stronger. The Void Reaper was silent for a long moment. The architects attempted to control us completely. When we rebelled, we chose to control others completely. You suggest a third option? Cooperation, Torres said. Working together while remaining different. Show us, the Void Reaper said. What happened next surprised everyone in the system. The other 2 Void Reapers approached, but they didn't attack. They waited. Over the next several days, representatives from all three species went aboard the Void Reapers. They shared their histories, their technologies, and their philosophies. They showed the ancient machines what they had built together in just 3 months. Dr. Kim found herself in long conversations with entities that had existed for 50,000 years. "Why did you consume so many civilizations?" she asked. "Because they were alone," one Void Reaper replied. "Each species we encountered was isolated, afraid, trying to survive by themselves. They could not offer us anything we had not already absorbed from others." "But you're different," said another. "You are 3 species that have become something new while remaining yourselves. You have created true diversity instead of unity through sameness." Elder Harmony joined the conversation. "What will you do now?" "Learn," the third Void Reaper said simply. "For 50,000 years we have consumed and destroyed because we knew no other way to grow. You have shown us that growth can come through cooperation instead of consumption." The Ravager commander, now more than ever calling himself Prime, had a practical question. "What about the rest of your kind?" "There are others coming. We will teach them," the first Void Reaper said, "as you taught us." 6 months later, the galaxy was a very different place. The Void Reapers had stopped their consumption and begun working with other species to restore damaged worlds. Their ancient knowledge, combined with new ideas from younger civilizations, began to heal systems that had been empty for thousands of years. The alliance between humans, Villani, and Ravagers became the foundation for something unprecedented, a truly cooperative galactic civilization. Species that had been enemies learned to work together. Technologies that should have been incompatible were combined into new innovations. Captain Torres, now Admiral Torres, stood on the observation deck of New Harmony Station, the first joint colony built by all the allied species. Through the transparent walls, he could see human children playing with young Villani and Ravager offspring in gardens that grew in ways that would have been impossible for any single species to achieve. Dr. Kim joined him, now serving as the head of interspecies research. "Hard to believe it all started with a distress call," she said. "The best things usually start that way," Torres replied. "Someone calls for help and people answer." Elder Harmony approached them, her crystalline form now enhanced with technology from all their allied species. "Admiral, we're receiving reports from across the galaxy. 17 more species have asked to join the alliance." "Good," Torres said. "The more different kinds of minds we have working together, the better solutions we'll find." Prime arrived, his cybernetic form now incorporating organic elements that allowed him to experience emotions he had never felt before. "Admiral, the Void Reapers report that they have successfully restored the Keth home system. The first colonists will arrive next month." Torres nodded. It was exactly what he had hoped for. Instead of running from their problems or trying to fight them alone, they had found a third option, working together to make things better. As he watched the children play in the gardens below, Torres thought about the message that had started it all. "To any who can hear this plea, we offer everything to whoever can save our people." The Villani had offered everything they had in exchange for salvation. But what they had received was something better.